evening, folks, and welcome to Garbage Theater. I'm your host, Chase, with my co-hosts, Blake and John.
Oh, we got problems.
I'm the Blue Bot.
Tonight's installment, Atlantic Rim. Big time boo. Oh, Lord. Let's get this shit show on the road. Because we got... Oh my God, do we have a lot to talk about.
We do.
I haven't taken this many notes since, like, Orcs.
Yeah, this one was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
There's a good amount of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. We've been... I've gotten very succinct with my note-taking with some of these movies, but God damn it, Asylum. He just barraged me with so much shit to point out.
These people.
Oh,
Man, Asylum has like Schrodinger's fuck. they both like give it and don't give it at the same time.
That's amazing.
I just don't. It's such a weird thing where they, it's like they bother to get a star, but like the star is Treach, and like, or they bother to have a romantic subplot, but they really underdevelop it and never resolve it.
First off, his name is Tretch.
It's Tretch?
Yes.
Don't feel bad, John. I was calling him Treach the whole time, too.
It's Tretch. Naughty by nature, man. Come on. Nobody?
I was a child.
Yeah.
So was I.
Man, I was listening to Weird Al Yankovic back then. I wasn't listening to Naughty by Nature.
Okay, I'll let it slide. Can we talk about this? Because I'm like itching.
Yeah. Let's jump in. Let's start because we got a ways to go. Everybody, this is going to be a long one, probably.
I'm just going to say, be prepared for me to interject for the first 5 minutes of this movie with a bunch, because this was right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. Okay, so we open up to a news anchor talking over shots of an offshore oil rig, telling us that the oil spill in question was not due to human error. However, it was human error to make the composited oil spill rotate at a different speed than the camera, enhancing its lameness.
Yes. Also, if we're supposed to believe this is deep water, the water is the wrong color.
Also, that's not an oil rig.
Well, the establishing shot is an oil rig. When they show the actors, that is not an oil rig. But let's keep going.
Two people, Smith and Vitali, are on board the rig, communicating with the Herodotus submersible vessel. Or is it? Because when they show it, it has Aquanaut 3 written on it.
So, a few things about this. So, oil rigs do have submersibles that go underneath the oil rigs. A lot of times they're unmanned, but for coolness sake, let's say you had people down in there. Number one, you wouldn't be communicating with them through Xbox headphones while out on the deck of the rig. You would be in a control room communicating, not just out in the elements. Another thing, I'm no sub-expert, but the range of the radar in this sub was the entire planet.
Okay. The radar... first of all, the center point of the radar where it's coming from was Somalia.
Yeah. and the little sweep, it swept around the whole globe.
And it showed nothing. Not a single radar in this friggin' movie had any kind of blips or anything on them.
Well, it must have been top of the line because everybody was using it.
I didn't notice most of this stuff, but I did notice that this fucking submersible doesn't have a window.
No window, but a picture of a Russian in a wheelchair hanging on the wall.
Exactly. Why is it so hard to put a window in your movies, guys?
I don't know.
Put a window.
So the other thing is, if the keen-eyed observer, when they do show the people on the deck of the quote-unquote rig talking to the quote-unquote submarine, you can actually see grass in the background. They were at an oil refinery, which is on land, because, quite frankly, nobody's going out on an oil rig unless you need to be there. Like, nobody's going to film movies out there. That's not how it works.
So they went to
some refinery.
Yeah, unless you're Michael Bay.
Well, that's different. Let's put it this way. Nobody with this budget is getting out on an oil rig. So you can see the grass in the background. So they just went to some refinery and stood up on, it looked like, I don't know, near a control panel and talked through their little crappy headphones. And then that was it. I'm going to go a little further ahead, just a tad. At one point, they say they're 800 fathoms down, like the sub, which, for the average depth of the Gulf, yeah, that could be true. But they're standing on a solid leg platform, which means the legs are touching the bottom, like the seafloor. No solid leg platform has ever gone that deep into the Gulf. You'd need a tension leg platform, which their maximum depth is about 800 fathoms. But whenever they say that they've hit a rock,
yeah, they hit it.
Yeah, you wouldn't hit anything because you're floating hundreds of meters above the seafloor, so you wouldn't hit anything.
And even if it was a solid leg platform, it's not crawling around like a robot crab.
Exactly. Even if you had the world's largest solid leg platform that had its legs planted 800 feet down, you're not fucking controlling it. Like, you're not going to just run into anything.
I knew this movie was going to get Blake hot.
Like, all I could think of was like some pirate like on the oil rig by the handrail, just spinning a big like pirate ship steering wheel, like trying to dodge the rocks. Like, that isn't how it happens.
Oh man!
All right, oil field rant over.
Asylum didn't do in-depth research on their oil rig settings.
Once again, all they have to do is hire me, and all these things could have been figured out.
They don't give a fuck. No. Well, okay, and here's another thing: is that they gave a fuck enough to name the submersible the Herodotus for some reason. He's the Greek father of history, but like, why?
For no reason.
Why bother?
Yeah,
especially if it's already it's already like what, the Aqua Fuck 3 or whatever you said.
Yeah.
Call it the Poseidon, something that makes sense.
Something, yeah.
Even something as lackluster as the Poseidon would have been fine. Like, nobody would have batted an eye.
No.
But whenever they said we hit a rock, like, I was sitting there watching with my headphones on, and as soon as he said, I think we hit a rock, I was like, you idiot. Like,
they're so incompetent. They hit a rock with a stationary
object into a rock.
It would be the same as saying my house hit a rock.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Oh, my God.
I was really confused when they said they hit a rock.
Yeah.
You...
Yeah, I don't even know all this bullshit about rigs, and I was like, what?
I had gone, all this bullshit was playing out in my head, and as soon as he said he hit a rock, a blood vessel burst in my eye. And we got more later on that has to do with maritime safety, but we'll keep going.
Because we're 10 minutes into this episode, and we're barely past the establishing shot of this movie.
Yeah.
Okay. So Smith on board the rig tells them to let him know if they see anything different down there as the vessel moves through a heavy debris field. They discover a deep fissure in the ocean floor and lose communication with the rig. The crew of the Herodotus hears a loud groan, not from the audience, but from some creature in the water that they believe to be a whale. They keep cutting to that Doppler radar that's showing absolutely nothing, spanning the entire globe. There's a loud roar. They begin to panic. Smith and Vitaly hear their screams over the radio, but Vitaly seems more concerned about the press that's aboard the rig than the fact that they just heard two people screaming for their lives at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, this chick is like, she heard them screaming, and they're like, maybe they lost power.
Oh, and they flew out a bunch of press out to this oil rig.
Yeah, once again, doesn't happen.
It's like infinity. Hey, I had a question about this too, Blake. Okay. How many like hot young girls tend to work on oil rigs?
That's an interesting question. Contrary to what you might think, the answer is 0.
Interesting.
I thought maybe I'd gotten lucky once, but it was just a guy that worked out with really long hair. Wasn't a girl. No, there's usually, and look, it's not. And I should I don't want to turn into the John of season 3 or whatever.
Yeah,
there are women that work in the oil field.
Absolutely,
without a doubt.
Absolutely.
They tend to be the smarter ones and don't end up with every other jackass out there for 2 weeks at a time.
I guess those two knew how to pilot the submersible.
And even if they do end up there at 2 weeks at a time, they're usually in the control room with the rest of the smart people. So I'll give them that credit. I didn't see many women out there because I was one of the jackasses just out there spinning a wrench or something, you know?
Yeah.
So there's your answer.
Okay.
0. I go back to 0. I'm sure they're out there, but in my experience, no, I didn't see any.
Yeah, I just thought there was maybe a few too many hot young women working on this oil rig for this particular movie, but
they need to diversify a little bit. It's getting out of hand.
But you gotta think, anytime when you're out in the middle of the ocean for 2 weeks at a time, a soft 3 turns into a hard 8 pretty quick.
Oh man. Okay. Plowing forward. The rig shakes violently with another roar. Smith's wondering what the hell's going on, and that's when Vitaly suggests that maybe they hit a rock.
God damn it.
Smith tells Vitaly to ready the chopper when a goddamn dragon rises from the ocean and mushes its face into the rig, destroying it in a massive explosion.
Now, I was mad because I was like, this isn't a kaiju. This is the dragon we need for Dragon versus Roller Coaster.
Yes. This is just the dragon. It's a leftover dragon model they made from some other shitty movie they ripped off.
Yeah.
Cut to the shittiest Mardi Gras parade known to man. Oh, boy.
Which wasn't even in New Orleans.
No. Okay,
No.
So we piece together throughout the movie where we actually are, but for the sake of knee-jerk reaction, let's just say it's okay to assume we're in New Orleans at this point.
You can assume it, yeah.
So let's just assume we're in New Orleans right now, because I got things on that.
Right.
So this Mardi Gras parade is basically just people in weird hats, wearing street clothes, walking in the street, throwing beads like goddamn shurikens, according to the Foley sound effects accompanying them. There's a
Which is all pretty accurate so far.
There's a pirate ship float, a tiki float, a Margaritaville float. You know, those standard Mardi Gras tropes we've all come to know and love. There's some random coffin on like a Home Depot dolly being pushed down the street. With a bunch of rednecks and skull face paint, because, Day of the Dead is the same thing as Mardi Gras.
Yeah, same thing. Exactly.
There's a battleship float that I'm assuming is going to double as an actual battleship later in this dung heap of a movie. There's several floats that are just people's trucks.
Right.
That's a Midwest parade.
I will say this, that does exist in some of the smaller towns and all that.
Yeah.
But they're wanting you to believe that this is the heart of New Orleans.
Yeah.
Where, that shit ain't going to fly.
Yeah. Dear states that aren't Louisiana, this is what it looks like when you try to do Mardi Gras. And I'm looking at you, Texas.
Well, look, Louisiana has messed it up before too, because a neighborhood I lived in Baton Rouge. I lived in a neighborhood in Baton Rouge, and it was like a bunch of hipsters that lived there. So it was like all hipsters and me, and they decided to have a parade with as little carbon footprint as possible. So everything had to be people powered, and when they came by the house, they threw organic vegetables.
That's a crime.
And I said, I am not participating in this shit. I'm staying inside my house.
Oh, Lord. All right, so smash cut from that to the District 7 naval base in some goddamn desert somewhere, down the street in New Orleans.
Right.
Enter Graham Greene. Oh, my favorite character in the movie. You may know him as Leonard from Northern Exposure or Kicking Bird from Dancing with Wolves.
It was Kicking Bird.
Yeah.
That's all it was for me.
Greene brings a plethora of emotional ranges to this film, including sleepy, tired, and subdued. I've never seen an actor move less throughout an entire movie.
Well, his face specifically, he didn't move at all. His old stone face.
Yeah, he has that constant 1,000-yard stare that he's contemplating his whole career through this entire shoot.
Yeah.
All he's thinking about is, I hope that check clears.
Yeah, he didn't invest all that Northern Exposure money very well. He's informed that another oil rig has been lost, and this character that I came to call Lieutenant Ancillary character informs him that he's been checking with the NOAA and NASA every 30 seconds to confirm, which Greene compares to watching YouTube videos. You goddamn kids today with your face tubes and your tweeters. He addresses a boardroom of others that a satellite's gone down and an oil rig has vanished, but he's not going to take any of that personally. NASA rep generic Sunny D commercial mom gives her 2 cents that an explosion...
Jesus Christ. Where do you come up with this shit?
Is that not a perfect description, though?
I guess it is, but Jesus.
She was an interesting casting choice. Can we say that? I mean...
Get it out, John. Come on.
Listen.
You usually don't put a weird face front and center, so yeah, she was an unusual choice.
Yeah, especially for an Asylum movie. I mean, like, I've only seen a couple, but like every woman in Planet of the Sharks was a hot young scientist. They had 3 hot young ladies on the oil rig earlier,
right?
But then there's like she's got like a hot young like sidekick or whatever. But for her, she's like, a middle school home ec teacher with no upper lip. I don't know. It was just an odd... She stood out, we'll say.
Yeah.
So, as I said, generic Sunny D commercial mom gives her 2 cents that an explosion would have registered on the seismic charts and the carbon monoxide would have been seen for miles. So, did it not explode like we all saw it explode?
I don't know, but carbon
monoxide. They keep going on and on about how it just vanished.
Carbon monoxide is invisible.
So
that's why you got to have a detector in your house, because you can't see it.
Yeah. So she introduces herself formally as Dr. Margaret Adams. She's the Operations Bureau Chief of NASA, and she's got her specialist stone. And the lieutenant remarks, "Oh, yes, of course, of Project Armada. Oh, of course, Project Armada."
Well, shit.
So they want to move Project Armada into its first phase, as they believe that the rig didn't just vanish, it was scuttled. And then Corporal Eyepatch corrects her that you don't scuttle a rig, you scuttle a ship. Well,
and I was so happy.
Yeah.
Some fucking accuracy from One-Eyed Willie.
Yeah, we've entered a new realm of meta where the Asylum movie is correcting and making fun of itself. So... Adam suggests that a deep-sea dive is their next best point of action. She turns a tablet around to reveal a waveform on it, and one of the other lieutenants points to it and says, "That area of the Gulf is 800 fathoms deep. That is not a map."
No. Can you turn your attention to the radar and point to something that makes sense, please?
Yeah. Every screen just displays completely useless information.
One of them was an old Windows screensaver.
I don't want to jump ahead, but later on, when shit's going down, one of the screens, they're just casually watching CNN.
Yeah.
There's just an interview on. So they ramble on about pressurized suits and how deep they can go, and Eye Patch questions this whole scenario, and like before, is completely ignored by everyone in the room. Green decides to send in a mini-sub, but the last one disappeared 15 minutes into the dive. Well, I won't take that personally, so go ahead and send another. Let's just clog it up with mini-subs. The corpses ought to fix it. So then they all know spontaneously that they're talking about a certain M-Bot pilot. This out of nowhere, that he's a loose cannon and he's a reckless liability, but he's the best we've got. Damn it.
Just because he was just the first one to sign up and he passed all the tests.
Yeah.
He was like camping outside at NASA like it was a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
I've never rooted for a main character to die more than I rooted for this dude.
Oh God, yeah.
They started talking about reckless loose cannon and liabilities, and I got excited. I thought they were talking about Frank Stallone, but you know,
no.
Sometimes you got to settle for Cody from Baywatch. So, Adams claims that he's training for the mission as they speak. Cut to our hero Red, tossing out beads at Sharti Gras. And he's palling around with
Sharti Gras.
Sharti Gras.
It's perfect.
Yes.
He's palling around with his friend Tracy, and he gives her piggyback rides, and they randomly tackle hug each other and sing that old Chestnut 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
God.
You can tell these two are real close.
All things you do at the Mardi Gras.
Yeah. She suggested they go back to base, and he replies, "You know what base I'd like to do you? What the fuck does that mean?" This guy. They come across a couple of lowlives setting up a deal for some of that Cali Kush. None of that swag, man.
Yeah.
So they accidentally run into each other, even though they're the only two people walking down this wide as hell alleyway.
Right.
The lowlife calls Red a squid, which he takes serious offense to.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that a thing in the military? I don't know. Probably not.
I don't know.
So Red threatens to kick their asses so fast they won't know what hit them in the most stuttery, stumbly way possible. The lowlives shove Tracy away as she tries to break them up, and now it's on.
Yeah, and was this Streets of Rage? Because who swings a fucking chain in a fight? Like, the guy just sat there twirling a chain around, waiting his turn to get hit.
I love this guy.
The shittiest, least threatening chain he could find.
Yeah. I loved it when they first showed him as like a guitarist squealing. And like he's walking in slow motion, swinging a chain. It's just this huge fucking nerd in like a leather trench coat. He was great.
Yeah, he was. Best part of the movie.
So Red and Tracy quickly outmatch their opponents when Red gets the call to be back on deck in 10 minutes. And the way these two are grab-assing around, they should be there sometime tomorrow.
This was weird because this really didn't put me on their side. It seemed like I was supposed to be rooting for Red and Tracy, but it's like, God, these army guys are just drunkenly attacking a couple of civilians.
Yeah.
For calling him a squid of all things.
Yeah, just for calling him a squid.
So, cut to Tretch, waiting in the Navy carpool van for Red and Tracy to arrive. They do, and the driver asks them, "Did you drink at the Mardi Gras?" So,
when you said that, I looked exactly like that gif of John Travolta just looking around confused in Pulp Fiction. Like, did anybody else hear what this chick just said? Did you drink at the Mardi Gras? What the hell?
So Tretch informs them that they're going out for a search and rescue mission for a missing oil rig. They're worried about being able to reach the 800 fathoms as they're designated for, because Tretch points out that the simulations only went down to 134. So Sunny D Mom's just a liar?
Apparently.
She said that the suits can go down to 800 simulated.
Well, at the end, she does do questionable things with new tech, so maybe she is lying.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we've tested it. Not in the field.
But not really, though.
Yeah.
Cut to an army base where the large doors open to reveal a giant friggin' robot, because why not? Why do these robots exist?
They serve no fucking purpose.
Yeah, there's no good reason. They're not set up in any way. It's like this is the first time some kind of... Well, they don't even know that it's a monster.
No, yeah. It's not like Pacific Rim where they were built in reaction to giant monsters. We just have them.
No, it's like, well, we need to search the ocean floor, so let's build these robots with feet to go into the ocean.
So, cue the saddest slow-mo hero walk I've ever seen. The longest one, too.
Yeah. This shit was pathetic. So pathetic.
I think it was like, there's no golf cart on this base that could drive them from 3 frickin' miles down the road.
It's just 3 idiots walking in slow motion in like wetsuits.
They're walking like across like the deserted parking lot of like a condemned Mervin's.
Mervin's.
But then the best part is that they were just walking forward, and then they stop and, they say lines to each other, and then immediately cut to their right 90 degrees. So why were they walking straight?
That's where the cameras were.
Yeah, I'm just like, this is so stupid.
That's the only reason. Like, the only logical reason.
Yeah, their Jaeger suits are just black wetsuits with some colored pieces of plastic taped to the arms and chest. They enter their color-coded robots and start flipping random dials and pressing random buttons, and the cockpits of the robots are tantamount to cardboard box cockpits that 8-year-olds make out of old broken keyboards and aluminum foil.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I never knew giant robots needed so many dryer hoses to work.
And what was the deal with the gloves with the lights on the end of them?
Yeah.
I know what those gloves are. Those are actually gloves to use in low light areas, to where you can see like where you're going to put in like a screw. So for that application, they'd make no sense, because you're just grabbing onto a joystick.
Yeah, it's high-techy looking.
Yeah, the whole thing is terrible. So they clearly only had one cockpit set.
Yeah, they just changed the light.
Just changed the lighting. And this is also the same set as the cockpit of the submersible from earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, the sets don't get much better, because now we cut to the war room that's totally not the conference room at the local Marriott suites.
Yeah.
It's looking like a community college.
Green enters, reads his lines, collects his paycheck, and gets the fuck out of there.
Yep.
They drop the bots out into the water, which is like, okay, they were in the city at the Mardi Gras. 10 minutes to be back at the base. They're back at the base. They get in their robots. They drop them in the water. They're immediately out where the friggin' oil rig was.
Yeah.
In seconds.
And when they drop the robots, they're free falling. Nobody has any seatbelts or anything on.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So
no restraints.
They would just be flopping all over the place inside of this thing.
Oh man. So
you really start to appreciate like Pacific Rim, because they thought about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't the pilot be flying around all over the place? Oh, because they're secured into the robot. Okay.
Like any fucking other giant robot thing ever. They've been like restrained in some way.
Even the Power Rangers put on their seatbelts.
Yeah. This is This is Atlantic Rim's creativity right here. Yeah. Like, nah, we're not going to do what everybody else does and consider the pilot's safety.
Well, they really don't consider the pilot's safety and what Chase is about to talk about.
So they're free falling, plummeting down into the Gulf, deeper and deeper. They reach 150 fathoms, and it starts to get a little hot in them rhinos. So
why does it get hotter?
Because they're getting deeper?
Wouldn't it get colder?
They kept telling them to turn the air on. And the whole time the control station is talking to the people in the thing. They're saying things, but their responses have nothing to do with what the person said. So it's like they wasn't even talking to each other.
Yeah.
Like a guy would be like, yeah, we're getting really hot down here. And be like, and then the Sonny D chick would be like, everything looks good. You're at this depth. That ain't what he said. He's telling you he's hot. Turn on a fan, for Christ's sake.
It was two completely different units that filmed these scenes, and they never talked to each other. They never looked at the same script. They only had their part of the script. They just mashed them together.
And then it seems like each of the pilots had the exact same lines. Because they all just kept repeating the same. It's hot in here. Boy, it's getting hot in this bot. Hey, you guys hot over there? It's like fucking... Just one time is enough.
Originally, it was only one bot in the whole movie. And they said he needs some friends. So they just used the same script and just shot two more people.
It was supposed to be two robots. And then all of a sudden, Tretch just showed up on set one day, and they're like, well, I guess we got to have a third bot. And there it went.
So they hit 400 fathoms, and Tracy's bot shuts down. So, okay. It spins out of control as it plunges. Her screen is flashing 37. Oh, dear God, no, not 37.
You in some shit now, Hoss.
Red's yelling over the intercom for the base to fix her bot, and they just kind of do. So
yeah, they're like, fixed in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Green says, well, that was a close call, and Sonny D replies, she was never in any real danger. Yeah, these Asylum movies are real good at setting up absolutely no friggin' stakes at all.
She's plummeting down 800 fathoms into the sea with no air conditioning and no power. She's fine.
And no luggage.
Yeah, no luggage either. Jesus.
So, Green ensures that they're all snug as bugs down there just before they hit the bottom. They initialize their gyroscopic equilibriums and make sure their reactive matrices are all online. Obviously.
I mean, you can't do anything without that.
They all get connected with home base and receive the readings of the still totally blank radar screens. They're aghast at the sheer scale of wreckage that they're seeing before them. I wish I could agree, but unfortunately I can't see shit because the CG scenes are so friggin' dark, and the friggin' radar doesn't show dick either.
Is this they tell them to turn on their external lights?
Yes.
But they don't have any fucking windows inside their cockpits, so what difference would it make?
What's funny is the first time you see Red in the bot, they show him looking through a window. But from the internal shots, there was no windows.
No.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, when he first enters it does that pullback where it shows him in the little chest compartment.
But then they show everything right in front of his face in the internal shots, and there is no window.
No.
That's that giant radar screen.
So, Lieutenant Ancillary character chimes in that he's seen hundreds of shipwrecks on hundreds of dives, and he's never seen anything like this. He suggests that maybe it was an earthquake, but Sonny D's mom says, on the East Coast? No way. Yeah.
Yeah, we got those.
There was a 4.6 earthquake 200 miles out of New Orleans this week in the Gulf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a very skinny CG dragon out there.
So
I'm calling Channel 4 right now. I have a documentary you need to see.
So they see no evidence of natural causes. which sends Green into this get off my porch rage. Bull butter! I've seen enough damage in my day to know if it's intentional or natural. All these ships going down, god damn it, it's as natural as two men getting married, for the love of Christ. I don't know what's wrong with this world today that used to be a beautiful country. So he orders the subs and the carriers and the destroyers all to be brought out on a fucking whim.
Hey, I mean, shit. He's fucking kicking bird.
Down below, a shadowy shape rushes by the bots. Tracy alerts the rest of the team that there's a presence of a bogey that she's not picking up on the sonar because there's nothing on the goddamn sonar. Tretch keeps saying, "Do you see what I am seeing? There is something on my monitors right now. Do you see what I am looking at?" There's nothing on your monitors, asshole.
No.
It's blank. The one of the monitors is displaying the entirety of the globe, an entire 3D model of the Earth. What could that possibly serve in this situation?
There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing on the Earth.
You could say that. You could say it was showing something. It just wasn't zoomed in enough for you to see it. But technically, it was there.
He accidentally spun his mouse wheel down when he took his hand off of it and just zoomed all the way out. So, Green then exclaims, "Holy crap, what is that?" with the vigor and conviction of a retiree being startled awake by Jeopardy being played too loud. They all marvel at the size of the bogey that they all can't see as Lieutenant Ancillary calls in for the reinforcements, which and they keep get me this guy Geis. Get me Geis. Where's Geis? And Geis is the eye patch guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they ever directly refer to him as that.
As eye patch guy?
Yeah,
not
I had to piece
that. Yeah, not when they first introduced him.
Yeah, I had to piece that together over time. Back underwater. I thought
you were saying they never addressed him as the eye patch guy. I was like, well, that'd be kind of rude.
So, back underwater, the bogey appears to be a harmless whale passing by. But on closer inspection, it's just the decapitated head of a whale floating by.
This is kind of amazing, actually. It's like, oh shit, what is that? Everyone's terrified, you know? And then they're like, oh god, it's just a whale. Oh fuck, it's just the whale's
head! So, Lieutenant Ancillary comes up to Green and says that he just got off the horn with everything that he ordered. And Green tells him, well, get back on the horn and order everything else they have. A scenario that plays out every breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the Seagal estate. Tretch then exclaims that there's a mermaid on the sonar. Sure, why not? Let's just make up shit that's on the sonar now. So, Tracy decides to go after it. Tretch is hesitant, but eventually joins, and Red and Tracy in the pursuit of the mermaid. And these three really sound like they've got the technical know-how and the team-based combat training to be piloting these giant amphibious robots. Anybody see anything on the thing? What the crap was that crap? I'ma get it. Red gets in the way of Tracy's harpoon for reasons. After disobeying Green for the last time, they order the bots to be shut down remotely, but Red's out of range. Green orders up more battalions of everything. This guy's going to add $6 trillion to the deficit in a span of 30 minutes. Cut to a military dispatcher that totally doesn't look like a Time Warner Cable online service representative. Barking orders to send out all the ridiculous shit that Green ordered. And cue the stock footage.
Oh, yeah.
So much stock
Asylum's
footage.
got a ton of that on hand.
Get down to the archives. Find me everything you have on aircraft carriers.
So we cut from that to some stock shots of a beach with happy beachgoers doing happy beachgoer things. Okay. Here's where I got confused with where the fuck we actually were. Yeah. So our heroes were ordered from what we believe to be New Orleans to the base within 10 minutes. They drop the robots off the dock into the middle of the Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
And within minutes, they're over to Florida. And it's got to be Florida because he says it's the East Coast. So it's not Biloxi or anything like that. No, it's the East Coast.
Exactly.
So did they run from New Orleans around the peninsula of Florida to get to the East Coast in a matter of hours?
I guess. That would explain why they're out of range.
Dude. None of this bullshit makes any sense.
So Green is upset about the fact that the general public is about to be exposed to Project Armada and exclaims, "Jesus H. Christ, I'd like to be watching the news tonight," but he does so without moving a goddamn hair on his body. He barely moves his mouth when he screams this. Back on the beach, a 40-story tall robot just erupts out of the breakers. And again, Asylum loves to ignore water depth at all costs.
Yeah.
It's like 12 feet off the shore, and it's completely submerged.
He was also supposed to be chasing the monster, but he got there first.
We clear past it. So
this thing is a nightmare.
Another thing about that admiral, Kicking Bird. Anytime somebody asks him a question, he says, "That's a damn good question."
Yes, he does.
So he knows a damn good question when he hears it. Because, I mean, it happens like 4 times. That's a damn good question.
That's a damn good question. I'm going to add that one to my collection of damn good questions. Red had to run past the monster so that he could get on his bullhorn and start screaming at the beach crowd, "This is a U.S. government-recognized robot. You need to clear the beach."
And people cheered.
He's met with massive applause.
Well, I mean, in fairness, I'd be like, "Oh, that's tight. Look at this. It's a robot." And, yeah, then I'd be killed.
Then I'd be, "Oh, actually, that's kind of a shitty-looking robot."
Well, yeah.
Like, you sure it's not the North Korean robot that we're looking at? Y'all have seen Pacific Rim, right?
So the giant dragon serpent thing leaps up and attacks Red as the spectators clumsily flee the beach. Because running on sand is tough, even when your life's at stake.
Yeah.
So then the cavalry arrives, and by cavalry I mean 5 assholes in camo. The small squad of soldiers line up, armed with ARs and combat shotguns, and their commanding officer gives them the key advice of aim high.
Yeah.
This little operation might not have worked without that little nugget.
Hey, Captain, where should we aim? That's a damn good question. You should aim high.
So they open fire on the giant lizard. The commander is stunned when he realizes 5 assholes with pea shooters is no match for a freaking Godzilla monster. Did he really think they were going to turn the tide here? They're shooting shotguns at it.
Yeah.
Like, this... So, at this point, the robot and the monster are fighting on the beach, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's the beach is now littered with dead people. Which we never saw. Like, we saw one guy get stepped on. And then they cut to this shot behind the cavalry shooting. It looks like they killed all the people. They're still shooting. They're shooting low. Like, they didn't follow the advice.
Well, after this, they must have fled into the city and killed some people, because there's dead people all over the city, too. The thing never made it out of the water.
Right, I'm like, who fucking killed these people?
Red's engaged with the beast, kicking it in the face repeatedly with these little dinky kicks, as if he was kicking a can down the road. Red activates his railgun, which pitifully pops out of his robot's forearm.
Oh, it was the shittiest railgun.
All the weapons in this that come out of the robots are tiny little, like, human-sized weapons, and it's just silly.
Whenever the railgun came out of his arm, I was like, well, maybe it's a grower, not a shower.
So he tries to blast the monster when it slaps the robot's arm away, for some reason causing Red's real-life arm to swing away wildly. That's not how these robots work yet.
No, not yet.
So, the robot's arm swings wide, and the railgun obliterates a nearby resort, killing hundreds. To which Red exclaims, "Whoops."
Yeah. He doesn't give a fuck.
He just blew up a fucking hotel.
He was like, nice. Did you guys see that? Blew up real good.
No. So Red continues.
So wait, why do they have a railgun? Like, why do they have any weapons on this thing at all?
Why do they have battle axes in the end?
Because Pacific Rim had the sword, that's why.
Because when you need to go down to the bottom of the Gulf to check on leaky oil lines, you need a fucking battle axe or a war hammer.
You know this was released before Pacific Rim?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's depressing.
They find out what's happening.
Oh no, I'm not saying Pacific Rim ripped them off. I'm just saying like they rushed to get.
Yeah, they beat them to it.
Right.
So I think the weapons at the end was, they knew what Pacific Rim was. And then, like, trailer number 3 came out when Gypsy Danger pulls out the sword, and they're like, oh, we need to have swords.
Gotta get those weapons in there.
Oh, man. So, Red continues to get beaten up by the monster, with emotional support coming in from his team. You got this, baby, you got this. Remember your training. You know, all that training for hand-to-hand combat against giant fucking sea monsters.
Now, they shut down their bots. So
yeah, they shut down green and blue. Yeah.
Yeah, they are in the middle of the Gulf, 800 fathoms down.
Other side of the peninsula of Florida. No
power in their bots. Yet they can still get radio contact with a guy who's out of range.
Yeah.
Well, he's out of range of the shutdown switch, not out of communication range.
Oh well. Jeez, my mistake. How silly of me.
Come on, man. You gotta keep up with this.
Yeah, you're right.
So, Red pleads with home base to help him because this thing is way times faster than this robot. That scientific term. How much faster is it than the robot? It's way times.
Yeah. Can you be more specific? Can you be more specific? No, I had too many drinks at the Mardi Gras.
So. Some disembodied voice at the base orders Stone to send out the jets, but isn't Stone with NASA?
NASA is in charge of the F-16s, I guess. I don't know.
Cut to more stock footage of jets taken off from an aircraft carrier that the team is now on.
Yeah, why are they on an aircraft carrier?
Were they always on an aircraft carrier?
Don't know.
Were they on it?
Is the Marriott Suites on the aircraft carrier? I don't know.
No, I think they were back on land.
No, they're on an aircraft carrier, dude.
Well, they get on a helicopter at one point.
Yeah. From the aircraft carrier.
That too.
I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Don't get too comfortable in that head spinning moment because then they warp onto a helicopter and they're ordering in an airstrike.
Also, the NASA ladies' clothes are different while they're on the helicopter. She's got a different outfit on.
She had to put on her helicopter clothes.
Yeah, she had time to go home and get a quick shower.
She got purple stuff on her shirt.
So, the fighter jet gets there in no time flat and opens fire with his .50 caliber, where he yells out, 50 caliber, baby, all day. So I had to stop because, I know nothing about nothing when it comes to the military and, loadouts of their machinery and whatnot, but I'm fairly sure modern-day fighters don't have 50 calibers on them. And I was right. They don't. They have M61 Vulcans, miniguns on them now. And they haven't had 50 calibers on them since World War II because the range is so bad on them.
Well, that explains why he couldn't hit this giant fucking dragon.
He's flying around in this World War II plane trying to fight it.
Fucking Red Baron. Come It's Snoopy on his doghouse. Coming in.
There's this aircraft carrier with all these raptors and shit on it, and then there's the one fucking biplane. That's the only one they send out. Because he's the best, god damn it.
He's the best.
This guy, like, he looks like...
Permission to buzz the tower.
He looks like Ted Raimi. Yeah, he's like, he's got like this lisp. He's like lispy danger.
Lispy danger.
Oh man, where's the rim shot for that one?
That's beautiful, right there.
You had two good ones this episode so far.
Hey.
Lispy danger
And Sharti Gras.
I like the Schrodinger's fucks. That was good.
John's on a roll tonight.
Yeah, he is.
The Jet's guns are ineffective, as Red suggests that maybe he uses his missiles next time. He swings around and Red holds the beast still, and the missile explodes on impact as the entire cast cheers half-heartedly. Green immediately wants to arrest Red because he wants his wild card head of his as a trophy on his wall.
Now, here's what I don't get. So Kicking Bird, Purple Stuff, a couple other people get in a helicopter. And they go up in the helicopter, they bark out a few orders to the fighter pilot, then turn around and go back on.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to get on the helicopter?
Well, they had to get in range of the fighter pilots.
So many issues with ranges in this
They didn't need to get on that helicopter.
Oh, man.
Admiral just was in the mood for a helicopter ride.
Yeah. Okay, so...
I get a better view of the Tatanka from up here. The three robot pilots teleport down. Teleport down to the city. They're just in the city now, on foot.
Yeah. With
as they
dead
walk
motherfuckers everywhere.
Yeah, there's just death and destruction everywhere that they caused. So it's at this point that Red gives a very technical rundown of his fight with the monster. Now, I'm going to actually play what he says here because it's just good. Holy shit. Okay, so because remember, green and blue weren't there for the fight, and there's no windows on the bot, so they didn't get to see it. So this is him explaining what happened. Here we go.
That was insane. What happened? Yo, man, I was in the bot, and I got the monster pinned down on the ground. Got his jaws pried open all the way. I'm pinning and I'm shaking, I'm fighting with him. Spitfire comes in, dude. He's got a full payload. The 50 cal didn't even leave a scratch. He pulls up sharply, comes around for a second run. Spitfire balls up, dude. He comes in close, drops it, nails it. Boom, boom! Thanks, Cal. Thank God. Here's our ride.
Oh.
He's like Red. He's like a 4-year-old telling a story they made up.
And it was like, and then the bomb came down.
Oh man,
freaking jackass!
And then Batman showed up and threw his boomerang at him, but it didn't work. It bounced off.
It reminds me of there was an old viral video. They're interviewing this surfer. And he's explaining him surfing. It's basically the same speech. Look that one up, kids. Maybe we can link to it or something.
So it's at this point that a black SUV, the only black SUV in the movie, pulls up to them, and a soldier gets out and says that he's there to arrest Red for disobeying a direct order. Tracy gets all riled up and says, "This guy just saved the whole freaking world. What are you talking about?" I didn't realize the whole world was at stake here.
Well, yeah, they can see it on their radar.
They're also just like standing around like piles of bodies.
So they are
just going to save everyone.
Ew, dead body.
Except for that guy and that guy and her and him.
I'm pretty sure he's been like that for a while. But everybody else.
These guys were all dead when we got here.
So they argue for a bit before Tretch pulls Red in and he whispers something to him and damn near kisses him passionately. They slap the cuffs on him, and as Red threatens that, man, you're gonna be in Siberia watching polar bears, man. Everything about that sentence. So here's where I deduced where the hell this is actually taking place. So the establishment that they're in front of that's strewn with dead bodies is the Seville Quarter. And
yes, I looked it up too. Yeah.
It's a Mardi Gras themed bar in Pensacola, Florida.
Yes.
So there we go.
Oh, I could have cleared that up for you earlier. When there's actually a shot of them walking through some like park, and you can see a sign that clearly says downtown Pensacola.
Okay. So weird to believe that, because in the boardroom earlier with Green and Eye Patch and all of them, they were talking about, well, why isn't there more people here? He says, well, it's Mardi Gras. The streets are shut down. So weird to believe that Pensacola, Florida, completely shuts down for Mardi Gras.
Yeah, they have the dopest fucking Mardi Gras.
New Orleans wishes it had Pensacola Mardi Gras.
See, they didn't kill everybody. It's just a bunch of drunks laying in the street.
Oh, man. So, it's at this point where...
Well, this is about where the guy comes and he's looking for his daughter, right?
Yeah, some random guy comes in and says that he's looking for his daughter. He describes... Oh, here it is. He describes her to Tretch as 12 years old, brown hair, about 6'2".
Did he say 6'2"?
Well, he holds his hand like up to the top of his head when he's describing this 12-year-old.
I didn't catch that.
So Tretch decides that he's going to go help the man track down his daughter. So she's in the bar, which is on fire and covered in dead bodies. Right. So Tretch enters the burning bar with his pistol drawn.
That's what dude, supposedly a monster did all this. You're looking for a child. Why do you have your pistol out?
What's the threat?
I need to have the thrill of knowing I might accidentally shoot her.
And he's like creeping through this bar, and he's like, "Come on out, baby." Like,
I got a surprise for you.
No, he got the gun out because when he sees her, she's like, "Who are you? I'm Tretch from Naughty by Nature. Just go ahead and pull the trigger."
So he finds her hiding behind the bar. She doesn't want to go with him, so he tells her that he tells her his name and that he's part of a superhero team that was sent in to save her. And
he used the line in the pedophile handbook. Your dad told me to come get you. I'm a superhero. Come with me. Like, this is exactly what we're told not to listen to.
You want to touch my gun?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're eminently going to burn to death because everything's on fire. But Tretch is taking his sweet-ass time explaining to her his superhero alias and piggyback rides and don't you want to see your father again? And, dude, pork chop sandwiches, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
I love this because he like comes in and tries to handle the whole thing with kid gloves.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, look, if we don't get out of here, we're going to burn to death.
So, yeah, he finally throws her up on his back and takes her out, carefully dodging the CG fire.
Yeah.
The bar begins to kind of explode, sort of. And
it was like when sign kind of exploded, and that was about it.
When that happens, the father outside completely gives up hope that he's going to see his daughter and collapses to the ground. Tretch eventually runs the girl out and reunites her with his father. He then claims her as his goddaughter, as his God-given right to do so now.
You can't do that, Tretch.
Anytime you pull a little girl out of a burning bar, well, she's your goddaughter now.
Yep.
He claims prima nocta.
Later, they drop Red into a holding cell, and he's there for all of 5 minutes when he starts going full Cape Fear, doing push-ups and talking to himself, and he's not a stable man.
My notes say, dude spent 5 minutes in solitary and broke.
Yeah.
He's like that messed up red panda I saw at the zoo.
So they eventually come to get him, and Green enters the room, and Red apologizes to him, but Green tells him that he's going in front of the review board at 0600 anyway. And then something happens, and I've got a couple of audio clips here. So Green basically asks Red to the military prom.
Yeah.
Now, he does this, and then he leaves, and then Tretch and Tracy come in, and Red, he's so amped up and excited to tell them about this, he tells them about it. But what Red tells them isn't exactly what Green asks him. So we're going to do a little contrast and compare here. So here's Green's proposal to military prom.
You are going to be my date in a tasteless political victory dance.
Excellent. Sounds like my kind of party.
Yeah, well, don't get too excited. You're going to shake some hands, calm down the politicians. And when the clock strikes 12, I'm going to put your ass back in the brig.
Okay, that's what Green asks him. Now, this is where Tretch and Tracy come in, and Red gets all excited to tell him about his new date. So
Sorry, but whenever the Admiral leaves, they both salute terribly to each other. And then Tretch and Stacy come in, or whatever her name is.
This is my favorite scene in the movie, and I want to talk about it further, but let's get this clip in.
Well, first, this is a short one. As soon as Tretch walks in, he's greeted by Red screaming this.
Jimmy, boy!
Hey, boy! And then he goes off on his little speech.
Hey, so check it out. The Admiral invited us to this really fancy party. Wants me to be the monkey play something. I don't know what he really phrased it as, but it's really cool. Anyway, I got extra tickets. Do you guys want to go?
What the fuck is he talking about?
Tickets?
He wants me to be the monkey play something? What the fuck is he talking about?
I don't know.
He just had this conversation with Green 5 seconds ago, and that's all the detail he could cobble together.
Yeah.
Red's a moron. Just a straight up moron.
Once again, just rooting for him to die through the whole movie.
Yeah, just get him dead, please. I love this scene because the Admiral comes in and does the like bait and switch thing a few too many times. And I think if he would have done it like one more time, it would have been comedy gold. But he's like, he comes in, he's like, you got the review board at 0600. You did a hell of a job today. And he's like, we're going to a party, but it's gonna suck, and I'm not gonna be there, and then I'm throwing you back in the brig. And then he's like, you broke every rule in the world today, and I've never been more proud. and then later he's like, you left me a hell of a mess to clean up. I'm gonna marry you someday.
So, sir, I can't tell if you're excited or angry at me. That's a damn good question, son.
Yeah. He's both super pissed and extremely proud of Red that he disobeyed all his orders and killed a pile of civilians.
Yeah.
So after he tells Tretch and Tracy about this whole thing, Tretch says that he's not going to go. He's not going to go because he's going to be helping the Red Cross, clean up the heaps of bodies that they've left behind.
Well, just Red. Red killed.
Yeah. So, but Tracy's not too thrilled about going either. So Red haggles with her from 3 hours down to 10 minutes to get her to go. Plus, they're going to have those little baby hot dog things that he likes so much because he's a fucking child.
Yeah.
So, okay. Cut to an actual prom.
Is the saddest. Like, I'm thinking like, I was thinking like it's supposed to be like a Mardi Gras ball, which is huge. This had 20 people and a shitty band.
Asylum crashed some poor small town's actual prom. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And they were just so excited that a movie was going to be filmed at their prom that they let them do it. They show the prom queen. There's a prom queen at this military ball.
So was the military ball like already scheduled before the giant monster attack, or
that's a good question.
Did they just throw it together afterwards?
It's the annual pirate-themed military ball, complete with the lead singer dressed in the puffy shirt from Seinfeld dancing like Michael Jackson.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Classic.
A medal loss from this. So Red shows off his hero medal to Tracy. She just wants to leave to go help Tretch, which causes Red to launch into God knows what of a speech. Jim, he's the yin to my yang. He's the half-empty bottle to my kegger. He's my brother from another mother. I hate Red.
It's awful.
Tracy tries to leave as Red calls out to her and points out that the claptrap of marching band musical instruments playing randomly is in fact their song. They dance reluctantly as we have to listen to this nonsense and get dissolved transitions of destroyed buildings and devastation as they dance.
Yeah, that was really weird.
They're just dancing on the souls and corpses of all those poor people.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, and it's at this point, there's been one or two little wink, nudges as to there's something going on between Tracy and Tretch, right?
Yeah. Well, you're kind of getting there,
Not too obvious, though.
No.
Because it comes in heavy-handed later. But, yeah, anyway. Cut to Tretch, helping clear bodies out of the woods. The Admiral just happens to be there as well. That same SUV pulls up and Eye Patch gets out. He tells the Admiral that he's needed back at the base and not out in some random-ass woods. They head back. Eye Patch then asks the Admiral about Project Taurus, which is a sonar that detects fossilized deposits under the seabed. How convenient.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Eye Patch tells him that 4 years ago it detected something off the coast of Yemen in the Gulf. And Eye Patch explains that the project went dark after the discovery, but they got some DNA samples back that revealed that the monsters are hundreds of millions of years old, and they lay their eggs in crude oil beneath the Earth's crust. And what's the threat? Oh, there's 2 eggs. A whopping 2.
Count them, 2.
So, cut to a different command center, but with a different but equally useless Doppler radar.
At some point during that last little thing, they passed by a fence that said Pensacola on it, and it also had the tag where it said MARSEC Level 1. Mm. And that's the maritime safety thing I wanted to talk about. MARSEC is maritime security level, and it has to be posted at all times at all facilities. Every oil rig, every shipyard has the MARSEC level posted, so you know what's going on. This had a MARSEC level 1, which means there is no maritime security threat out there.
It was just a fucking dragon.
Right. A monster just sprang forth from the ocean and killed an entire city.
Wiped Pensacola off the map.
MARSEC 1, we're still good.
But it's dead now.
Yeah.
The guy who changes the sign must be dead too, because they stayed the same.
Oh, man. So they start throwing out a lot of meaningless jargon, talking about how they got 5 AWACS in the theater and 2 destroyers and no SEG. How about a sub? Anything from Lionfish? And none of this matters. It's all padding to get this barely feature-length movie up to an acceptable length. So I don't know how much actual movie these assholes actually filmed. Lionfish contacts the USS Wasp and tells them that they have a 38-degree drop of pressure from the northeast via Yankee Rhino. Nonsense. The captain doesn't see anything on the radar, because there's nothing on the radar. The Lionfish sub reports something large rising from the ocean, and they cut out. And then the sub is thrown out of the ocean into the aircraft carrier, sinking it. Back at base command, Stone reports to Green that they just lost the USS Wasp. He tells her to call to call up Eye Patch and tell him that the other egg hatched. The exact same monster emerges from the ocean to inspect its dead sibling. So we're not even going to make two different monsters. Wouldn't Pacific Rim have been even better if they only fought one monster over and over and over again the whole movie?
I mean, it'd make it more consistent, that's for sure.
Well, did we mention that all the robots are the same, too? All three of them are exactly the same?
Yeah, they're exactly the same. No, copy and paste. Fucking Robo-Jocks, they had different goddamn robots.
Yeah, yes. Asylum is so fucking lazy.
So they scramble the troops by way of more stock footage. Cut to Tretch and Tracy playing checkers, that classic game of wits, when Tracy makes what appears to be the first move of the game and says, "It's like I'm playing myself." And then Tretch responds, "You're known for playing yourself," and jumps her first move piece like it's some big Bobby Fischer fucking moment. So then Tretch
what does that mean? You're known for playing yourself?
Everybody knows you flick the bean in that robot.
Yes. I thought it just meant like she's the one that originally made that DJ Khaled gif.
Yeah. So Tretch then asks, "When you gonna let me get you again?" So here's the ham-fisted underlying love triangle that they're establishing here that isn't landing at all.
Also, I was extremely happy that Tretch was down with OPP. It was like they made it all happen. You have Naughty by Nature in the movie, and he's down with OPP.
It was in his contract that he got to smash the white lady.
Well, I would look as soon as I found out they were an item, that made me love this movie. And that song was just in my head for the rest of the movie.
So the base starts shaking. So they go to check on Red. Red gets the guard to open the door to the stockade, and he begs him to let him fight as he's a soldier and he can defuse this situation. The MP doesn't care, locks him back in. Tretch and Tracy are trying to put a plan together, but they're not the brightest of the bunch. And Tretch formulates that they either go get Red or they go get the bots, or they're just going to be done. Thanks, Tretch. They decide to go get Red first and head to the brig. The soldiers are still thinking that firing shotguns at the monster will help as it tosses tanks around. They reach the brig and can't get the door open because the MP took off with the key. Red tells Tretch and Tracy to get to safety and just get her out of here. So they take that one black SUV and they drive it exactly 1 foot to the MP with the key. They get in, he hits the gas, immediately hits the brakes. There's the MP and he's standing in front of the fucking car. So he agrees to go let Red out just as he gets stepped on by the giant monster that no one noticed was 10 feet away. The key gone, they run to a flatbed truck stockpiled with plywood to try to find something to help get into Red's cell, as you would.
Yeah.
Tretch comes up with a hammer, just a regular claw hammer.
The tiniest claw hammer. Like, it wouldn't even be good for leverage. Like, it's like a 6-inch long claw hammer. Yeah.
So they run back and they try to pry the doorknob off the door with the claw hammer in a way that will not possibly work.
This is one of those double doors that just has the doorknob that when you close the two doors together, it's just a doorknob and that one little part holding those two doors together. And the whole time they're pulling on it, you can see these two doors opening. Yeah. Like, all Red would have to do is kick in the center of it, and it's going to open.
Yeah.
But instead, he's like, no, let me burn to death.
And Tretch is like slow motion hammering on this knob.
Yeah. He tells Red to stand back, and he starts hammering on the knob.
He hammers on the knob like he's been hammering on his old lady.
Yeah. Like he's going to blast this door down with this hammer like he's fucking Thor or something. So, back with the Admiral Get Me Everything, he orders in even more military support. Marines, SEALs, the tank battalion, the artillery.
Get me the whole military.
Eye Patch comes in and tells Green that the president has authorized a nuclear strike. And Green tells him to stick his nuclear strike up his ass.
Yeah.
So Treach finally busts the knob off the door and frees Red. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Ancillary steals the only SUV in Pensacola and drives it to the pilots, and he's going to bring them to the bots. So we cut to a stealth bomber, codenamed Bugsy, talking to Daddy Rabbit for permission to go in hot. The monster is after the SUV when the bomber drops his payload, wounding the monster and sending it fleeing back into the ocean. So we won, I guess. No need to actually kill it. Cut to the bar that exploded earlier. Completely back together.
For all the carnage that's gone on in this small beach town, people are just living their lives because there's other people in this bar just drinking and eating.
Yeah, it's having a good time.
Yeah.
It's like nothing happened.
Yeah, they're just stepping over the bodies.
Including the fire that burned down this very building.
Yes. They again, I don't want to jump ahead, but they keep reusing this fucking bar to the point that it manifests itself in New York City later.
Oh, God, I know.
So, inside the non-burned down bar, they're all celebrating their victory, and they think that they scared the monster away for good. And that's all the closure they need. So the 3 bot pilots start getting plastered and asking what they're going to do now that everything's over. So that's it. Their service is done.
Why do they keep taking credit for other people's work?
Because they're assholes.
They are total assholes. The first monster got killed because Lispy Danger blew it up. They didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then this one, the stealth bomber blew it up. They didn't do it. They were just running for their lives.
Yeah. Like we said, you don't ever root for these 3 ever in this entire movie. So Tret says that he's going to go make a memorial for all the people that died, killing the mood entirely.
Jeez.
So they then drink to all the people they killed today, and Red runs to the bathroom, and Tretz takes this opportunity to ask Tracy about their future together. Cut to the Admiral telling some poor sergeant over the phone that he needs to get something really shiny. That's
what could that be?
So, typical Admiral stuff, ordering people to shine things. Lieutenant Ancillary comes in to tell them that there's more movement on the Atlantic coast. And Greens is surprised by this because, well, we got both eggs, but you didn't, asshole. A, you never got an egg, period. And B, you didn't kill the second one.
Yeah.
Are we sure they didn't kill it? Was there a surprise third egg or something?
No, they showed it after they bombed it. It crawled into the water and swam away.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they did not kill it. So he scrambles a team. Back at the bar, Tracy's trying to write off Tretch and her's relationship as a drunken accident, but Red returns from the bathroom and sees them holding hands. And he tells Tretch that, I said that we could share things, but I didn't mean everything. And then all's well.
Yeah.
Warning given. Glad we cleared that up. But then Tretch decides to confess that we hooked up once. Red doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't care.
He used to hook up with his brother's girlfriends all the time. It's a family tradition. As long as it's over, he's good with it.
This is the only time where I kind of liked him. I was like, all right, good for you, man. That's a good. I'm saying that's a decent attitude to have. It came forward and told you. I don't know.
Hey, I'm banging your girlfriend. Well, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Hey, man, it's cool.
I'm just glad you love me enough to tell me. Fuck that.
So all their phones ring at the same time, and they get the call to head back to base. Eye Patch says that they're tracking the monster that they didn't kill along the coast, and the National Guard has been deployed, and the president's on his way, but the president never arrives. We never see the fucking president.
I was pissed at how much money they threw down on the table for all their drinks. When they left the bar, Tretch threw a 20 onto the table. There was 4 shots and 5 mixed drinks on that table.
Oh god, yeah.
Somebody got fucked.
It's like $50.
So, well, they're heroes. They can't be expected to pay full price.
Somebody besides Red's old lady got screwed in this situation.
So, Green still won't consider a nuclear strike. The 3 bot pilots arrive, and they inform Adams that the dinosaur's still alive, and they need to move to Phase 2. So, this is when she busts out the Halos.
Oh, boy.
A device that was created alongside their training that will link their nervous systems to the robots. And by Halo, I mean sunglasses with the frames removed. It's like the wraparound sports glasses that Seagal wears, where they just pop the orange lenses off.
Yeah. And color coordinated to their bots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very Power Rangery.
They also don't fit because Red put his on and almost slid off his hollow ass head.
Why did they leave that shot in the movie?
I can't believe it.
Like, they could have easily just said, wait, it was kind of falling off of you there. Let's do that again.
Well, when your director is One Take McGee, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
I guess.
So we got a weekend to throw this shit together.
The Marriott wants us out of this conference room now.
The premiere of Pacific Rim is in 3 hours, guys. So
Gotta get this into that room.
And it still got done before the movie premiered.
Editing room. They edited this shit in camera as they shot it. So they get in their bots and they prepare for their first run. They turn on their halos and it causes a lot of pain, but unfortunately it doesn't kill them.
No.
So now they can move their bots with their bodies. It's full-blown Pacific Rim now. So the monster emerges...
Except 100 times stupider.
So the monster emerges...
Many times stupider.
Yeah, many. The monster emerges at Manhattan, but don't worry, because the robots can fly now, because why not? And they arrive in Manhattan in seconds, as everyone at base waits pensively for the battle. And Eye Patch really wants to nuke Manhattan.
He's got that itchy trigger finger.
So bad.
God, I want to nuke Manhattan.
So soldiers begin storming the streets of New York, but only in groups of 5. We only have 5 extras, and we got to keep changing their camo paint to make them look like they're different people.
Well, this fucking elite group just like walking down the middle of the street.
They break up a street performance and tell the civilians that death is coming. The monster emerges, and we go back to the regular guns will do the trick strategy, as the monsters walk right past the 5 group of soldiers and stomp the civilians to death. I don't
get, okay, if you're a soldier and you know they're sending in 3 giant robots to fight a monster, and they want you to go in there just like walking down the street with a shotgun, I think I'd be like, nah, son, not doing that one.
Yeah. It's like, sorry, Uncle Sam.
Yeah. I am not a giant robot.
These robot assholes are going to take all the credit anyway.
Yeah. Now, if you want to give me a robot, then yes, I'll gladly do this.
So, Eye Patch says that the USS Virginia is carrying the nukes and they're en route from North Carolina, but Admiral Green is still banking on these bot pilots. And during the random shots of panic in the streets of New York City, they show that fucking bar again. Mm-hmm. The same block. Maybe it's a franchise. Maybe the monster has a vendetta against this chain like it's some perverted Jaws 4 scenario.
That city block is franchised? You can have this city block too.
So Adams and Lieutenant Ancillary prep the bots for combat, to which Lieutenant Ancillary reveals that this project's been going on for 10 years with a $500 billion of research behind it.
God damn.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
It's
the
a
bots
lot of
arrive.
fucking Sunny D.
the bots arrive and point out that the monster is killing the city. Their words. The highly trained that's highly trained specialist speak. Red reports back that this one is bigger than any they've ever seen before. It's the one you were just fighting.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I thought it was a third one, but
it's the same
whatever.
One. Same goddamn one. Eyepatch tries one more time to push the nuke scenario into play, but Green tells him to keep his trap shut. Capish?
That's somebody that's only ever seen that word in writing before.
Yes.
So
there is Kickin' Bird was like, capish does not exist in the Sioux language.
What is this capish?
So Eyepatch skulks away defeated, but gets on his phone and implements the Trojan horse. Oh no. All these secret code names for shit.
Why would the code name for something be Trojan horse? Like, everybody knows what a Trojan horse is.
Yeah. Like, oh shit, Trojan horse is coming. So gonna be some shit in there.
If anybody picks up that chatter, hey, they talking about a Trojan horse. Something tells me they're gonna try to sneak something in here.
But what were they? What was it? What was the Trojan horse? Was it the nuke?
Trojan horse was just going ahead and shooting the nuke. So,
surprise, idiot! I did it anyway.
that famous battle cry in Sparta with the Trojan horse. Gotcha, you idiot! I did it anyway.
Surprise,
we're doing
idiots.
it anyway.
So the robots are engaging the monster in Times Square, except it's some fantasy Times Square where all the giant movie posters are Asylum movies.
Oh my fucking god! I can't believe they went to this trouble.
Air collision, Mega Shark versus Crocosaurus. Jesus. So the staff of the base start calling their families and telling them to evacuate in the most hilarious manner.
Oh yeah.
And I've got these too. So here's the people at the base calling their loved ones. This is what they're saying.
Mom, you need to get out of there. Dad, get everyone. Everyone's gonna die. Get out of there.
Get everyone out now. The creatures are killing everyone.
Something's happening. I gotta get out of here.
Something's happening. I gotta get out of here.
Oh my god.
The creatures are killing everyone.
I would love to call my wife and just say that. Something's happening. I gotta get out of here.
Something's happening. I gotta get out of here. Well, I guess it's a giant dinosaur.
Is this where has Tracy revealed that she has family in Manhattan yet?
No, it's coming up.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Jesus Christ, Tracy. So Red starts to rope-a-dope the monster, but gets hurt when the monster damages the suit, and that's when Adam runs off a bunch of techno-babble that's supposed to mean that the pilots can now feel pain when the robots get damaged. Oh no.
Why would you include that feature?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's an insane feature.
So they knock the monster into a building, killing hundreds probably. As the team back at the base cheer them on, Green has not uncrossed his arms this entire goddamn movie. Red gets knocked down and Tretch tells him to man up. And Tracy asks, if you boys are done, Red apologizes, sorry, mommy. That's right, don't give me any sass. Such natural dialogue. So the bots go down to 40% fuel, so it's time for drastic measures. Adam reveals that the robots are equipped with melee weapons that no one thought to utilize till now.
Yes.
So they activate their weapons that appear out of nowhere, and Tretch has a warhammer, and Red has a battle axe, and Tracy has a sword, and her sword just kind of looks like a little dinky stick. Hers is the least impressive of the three. They approach the monster, as Red says, don't forget, this makes 2 kills. We're all very proud that you can count to 2, Red. We really are.
Tell you what,
Oh
though,
my god.
there's been no finer acting than watching these people swing imaginary weapons inside the cockpits of these robots.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those points where I felt bad for the actors.
Yeah.
It was embarrassing to watch them going, yeah.
And then most of the action in this movie is actually inside the cockpit.
Right.
Yeah. Like of them being like, ah, or like at this point in the movie, actually like shadow boxing like a bunch of idiots.
And also, when they would show the robots fighting, what they were doing in the cockpit was not what the robots were doing.
Not even close.
No.
And like there's never any cool like hero moment in this movie. You know, like when the weapons come out and when the sword comes out in Pacific Rim, it's like, whoa, it's all radical and triumphant.
Right.
In this, they like pop them out and swing them around, taunting the monster. And then they go back immediately to getting their incompetent asses dunked on.
So, Eye Patch back at base says that he can save 10 million by sacrificing 1 million. Really wants to take out New York at all costs.
I'm starting to think he lost his eye in New York for like some crazy reason. And he just wants revenge now.
On all of New York.
It actually got poked out on the Empire State Building for some reason.
Yeah.
That goddamn Statue of Liberty poked my eye out. So,
and I told that green bitch one day you'll pay.
So this is the point where up on the war screen, someone's just like flipped the channel to CNN.
They're bored.
Yeah. You just switch over to HGTV. They're watching somebody renovate a house.
See, I know that this movie's a few years old, but it'd been great if on the CNN thing they started talking about a monster in New York and somebody was like, fake news, and then changed the channel.
So Eye Patch is just pushing this nuclear strike. He makes the call in secret to the Virginia, and they prepare the nuke. Green confronts him about it, and he informs the robot team that there's been an order for a nuclear strike, and you need to get the hell out of there. It's at this point that Tracy says, "Oh my God, I have family in New York." Now?
Yeah, now all of a sudden, it's not even fighting. It's not even leveling the city. Family.
Yeah, you've been leveling the city, fighting a giant crocodile, and only the nuke is that's the real worry.
God, it's embarrassing. It's like they felt like they needed to raise the stakes somehow. And they thought, let's give one of them a family in New York.
Yeah. So,
why couldn't it be like her mom or something? Like, what? I have family. It's like a third cousin or something. Dude, you know, like...
Yeah, I refuse to believe that someone laid down and made children with this woman.
So, Red decides to use his jammer or something to fly up and stop the nuke. Green tells him that the nuke's going to detonate at 550 meters, which is shockingly accurate. I looked it up. Hiroshima detonated at 580 meters. This is within the realm of possibility.
Holy shit.
Is that a happy accident, Asylum? I'd like to think so.
Probably so.
Tracy and Tretch keep the monster occupied by destroying the Statue of Liberty. Red flies up to the missile, uses his jammer when he's in range. Again, more range.
It's also what Tretch did to his old lady.
Yeah.
Used his jammer when he was in range.
When he flips on the jammer, it's just a slide whistle. He goes, woo, 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 and then we jam that sucker.
Everyone loses their shit. Yes. Yes.
He then catches the missile and flies off with it like he's fucking Iron Man or something. Mm-hmm. Green tells Eye Patch to sit on it and spin. And Eye Patch storms off to find Adams, and he orders her to shut down the bots. And he draws his sidearm on her as Green enters the room. And he takes him hostage and threatens to shoot the Admiral if they don't shut down the bots now. And as he's counting down to 5, Green tells him that the secret to shooting someone is to never hesitate. And Lieutenant Ancillary punches him in the face, and the gun goes off. And somehow, even though the gun was 3 inches away from the Admiral's face, the bullet hits him in the forearm.
Terrible.
Crazy. I mean, some kind of shamanistic thing he's got going there.
So the other 2 bots continue to battle the monster. Tracy's suit goes down to 11% fuel, so the Admiral decides to take a chopper out to help, I guess.
Yeah, what the fuck is he gonna do?
He's gonna fly out a little ways and turn around and come
question.
back. Tretch picks up Tracy's bot and flies her away to safety as Red swoops in and stabs the monster in the stomach with the missile and starts to fly it up into space. Takes them out into space. Tretch and Tracy land in a safe spot, and they just kind of spawn outside of their robots on the ground, even though Tracy's supposed to be, like, next to dead. She just appears, like, kneeling down in a field. So Green arrives, he lands in the field and tells them that they ordered a second nuke that's coming in. They need to get the hell out of there. So Red, having stabbed the nuke into the robot's guts, he punts it into space at light speed.
Oh my god.
The animation on this kick was hilarious. Punts it into space. It explodes, which sends him roaring back to Earth. The Admiral looks up and tells everyone to back up. And they do for a couple of yards as the giant robot crashes down a few feet away.
Which, once again, there are no restraints in this robot. And this man just flew back from space and hit the ground.
But also the accuracy. Like,
it's right next to him.
Free falls from space and lands. First of all, he lands directly on the other 2 robots, destroying all of them. And just like right where they are. It's great. He's a better pilot than I ever gave him credit for.
Yeah.
Red emerges from nothing in a dramatic slow-mo spin-around shot.
That was the straight-up Michael Bay shot. That was like Bad Boys right there.
They all run to his side. Red asks the Admiral, "Did we get him?"
That's a damn good question. You were there,
stupid. Red then suggests that they all go back to that goddamn bar again for tequila shots. They execute the clumsiest 4-way fist bump I've ever seen as Green snaps a quick selfie of the littered field. And they walk back as the rest of the military cheer them on, smoldering robot wreckage behind them, and the credits mercifully begin to roll. Holy shit.
Who is this Admiral character?
He's Kicking Bird.
But like, by the end of the movie, he's like taking selfies and doing fist bumps and shit.
I think that he is an immortal, that he's been around since Kicking Bird. And he slowly just kind of ended up in places, you know?
Who is he? He's not a proud man that'll do exactly what you ask him to do on camera.
Yeah.
His character just becomes arbitrarily weird. Well, anyway. And I was also mad because they completely just like left any romantic subplot.
Oh yeah, abandoned completely.
Just abandoned.
I truly think they did that whole thing just so they could have Tretch being involved in OPP. He's gotta be.
I mean, I hope so. Because that'd be funny.
Because I know if I was making a shitty movie and all of a sudden I found out that Tretch was one of the stars, I'd be like, oh, we gotta have some type of fucking love triangle going on.
Yeah. Sweet Jesus.
How does this happen? Was like Tretch out there like looking for acting work? Or was Asylum like, we need a guy, get me Tretch?
Well, you know how they do the Asylum movies. They have like the titles of all these movies, and then somebody pitches how they would do it. Somebody was a big fan.
Maybe.
So you know who would be perfect in this hurried Pacific Rim ripoff? Tretch. Somebody said, "That's gold."
Collective who went over the boardroom?
Who? Come on, man. It's Tretch.
All right, well, how about one of the not-so-main characters from Baywatch?
Yeah.
See, I thought he was, kept trying to think of funny pun names for him, because he looked like Michael Biehn. I was like, is he Dwayne Hicks, Dwayne Dix, Lame Hicks? I don't know. I couldn't come up with anything. Anyway.
Well, you got 3 home runs in this episode. We can't ask so much of you.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely carried this one.
That's so nice.
Well,
thank you.
Now that that's out of the way, let's get some bonus questions done, Blake.
All right, so here's your options. You can either have like normal questions or ridiculously fucking hard questions.
Well, gee, I wonder which ones we want.
Yeah. I'm going to say normal. What about you, Chase?
I think so, too, considering someone's in the lead.
Ridiculously hard it is.
Oh, you bastard. I don't know. I went pretty deep with getting details in this one. I spent a lot of fucking time with this turd of a movie.
Good.
I did not.
Okay, well, one of them you have multiple ways you can answer. I want to know just one of the businesses located in the Seville Quarter. However, those business that you name cannot be Rosie or Grady's or Lily Marlene's. So one of the other businesses located in the Seville Quarter. There's a bunch of them.
Pretty sure I got that one.
All right. Second is, while Red was being arrested, what recreational league is posted on a pole?
That I do not know. Shit.
All right. Anybody want to name a business that was located there?
I had Phineas Fogg's.
Okay. John?
I just put barbecue.
Chase, you have a point. Yes. Phineas Fogg's was one of them. I would have also taken Fast Eddie's, the Palace Oyster Bar, Apple Annie's, Endo the Alley Bar, and the Seville Quarter Courtyard.
I only know that from the Seville Quarter's website when I looked it up.
Oh my god!
when they're standing near that building, all the businesses are listed on side of that building, like real big.
That exact image is the splash page of their website.
Yeah, it's all listed right there.
Yeah.
And anybody want to take a guess on the recreational league?
Whatever the arena football league is called.
No.
Was it Ultimate Frisbee?
Nope, it was kickball.
Kickball.
Nah.
Shoot. No.
Yeah, Chase gets a point.
I got one. So how many do I have?
Congratulations.
What do I have? Do I have 3?
Yeah.
I got 3. John's got 3. Blake's got 4.
Yeah.
I think I have 3.
No,
you were ahead. 4. You were definitely ahead. You definitely have 4.
Okay, good.
So yeah, John, me and you just have to get one more question right, and then this whole thing could be pointless.
Yeah. That's the goal.
There's only 2 movies left, so if I get one next time and you get one on the last one, we're set. Complete waste of time.
Yeah. That's like our mission statement.
Yeah.
This is true.
Okay, so with that done, it's time for Coming Attractions. Blake just had his last pick of the season. Now John's up. What do you got? What are you closing us out with, John?
Well, all right, motherfuckers. With my bloodlust sated, I I picked something that I thought might be fun. So it's got 3 stars on Amazon, 4.6 on IMDb. It is Warriors of the Wasteland, aka the New Barbarians.
Yes.
Directed by Enzo Castellari.
I'm so excited now.
Yeah.
This has been in my pile of what to picks for a while now.
Should be good times. It should be good times, I think. So it's a Mad Max ripoff. It's one of these Italian Mad Max ripoffs.
Yeah.
But the director's like done stuff that people know. Like he did the original Inglourious Bastards.
Mm-hmm.
He did a spaghetti western called Kioma that has stars Franco Nero from Django, and Escape from the Bronx, which is another one that could be a pick later.
Yeah, that's what I've looked at too.
And this is starring Fred Williamson.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I couldn't, for some reason, I had trouble finding an exact release date. It's somewhere between 82 and 84.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the year 2019, the world has been devastated by nuclear war. The few survivors try desperately to reach a distant land, only to be thwarted by brutal attacks from the fierce Templars and their leader, One. And that's it. So yeah, like I said, it's a Road Warrior ripoff.
Yeah.
And some of the reviews I have are, this is my new favorite bad movie. I just love how 80s and schlock filled this movie is. If you like over-the-top, futuristic, Italian, post-apocalyptic, dystopian bad movies from the 80s, then this is the movie for you.
It's pretty specific.
Former NFL great Fred Williamson stars in this masterpiece and is armed with a crossbow that has exploding arrows. What more could you ask for? And finally, stupid. No female nudity in the movie unless you count one breast from the side.
A review written by John DeLuca.
That's probably one of my favorite movie reviews of all time.
Yeah, it is a good one.
Stupid.
Stupid. There's no boobs in this at all.
Except one from the side.
Man's got a legitimate complaint, fellas.
Now, I noticed an element of IMDb that has potential gold on it, as the plot keywords.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever looked at this, but a few of the plot keywords for Warriors of the Wasteland, aka the New Barbarians, is child drives a car, child fights an adult, and child murders an adult.
Oh man. Jesus Christ.
That's it. That's what I'm doing.
Good.
It's pretty damn good. Whew.
Hopefully we'll get something in here that's not, it's garbage, but it's fun garbage.
Yeah. Now, like I said, I had looked this one up a while ago. It's been in my pile of movie picks since season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so happy we're going to watch it now.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. So I know it's not my week, but I'm going to say Disaster Struck, and the horrible, terrible movie I was going to close this out with is no longer on Amazon. I'm heartbroken. So I have no idea what I'm going to pick for the last one. And I'm sad about that. But this makes me a little happier, because at least I get to watch Warriors of the Wasteland now.
Independence Day is still available.
God.
As is Atlantic Rim 2.
Or they got a Tremors thing on Netflix right now, man.
Tremors 6. It looks like it's Snow Tremors.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I know we all love Tremors.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, well, we've run the gamut of damn near 2 hours.
I know, Jesus.
On Atlantic Rim. Oh, a long one. So,
there was a lot to cover.
I'd like to thank everybody that's been listening. If you can drop us a line and leave us a review on iTunes, we would so very much appreciate that. Share us with your friends. Share us on Facebook. We're at Garbage Theater, facebook.com/Garbage Theater. We're on Twitter at Garbage_Theater. On Instagram at Garbage_Theater. You can follow us on all of those. If you want to suggest a movie to us, we got a new season coming up, so we're going to need a fresh pile of trash to rifle through. Send them our way. You can send them to any of those social media outlets, or you can send it to garbagetheaterpodcast@gmail.com.
If it's streaming somewhere, it's more likely to get picked.
Yeah. Please, if it can be streaming on Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, YouTube, somewhere, it's going to go a lot easier because we've had to pay for one movie this season. And we didn't like it.
Never again.
Did not like doing that. So, yeah, let's keep it to something that we're at least subscribed to. And then you'll probably it'll get through. Does anybody have anything to close us out with?
That's a damn good question.
That's it.
That's all? Okay, well.
Jimmy, boy!
One more though. That's all I got. Okay, so 2 episodes left in the season. We're watching Warriors of the Wasteland, available on Amazon Prime. Go check it out, and we will see you next time.